Hey everyone, welcome back to TechRill. Today we are exploring a brand new feature that is going to supercharge collaboration with GitHub Copilot. Sharing Copilot Chat conversations with your teammates. Have you ever found a really helpful answer from GitHub Copilot Chat and wished you could quickly share it with your colleague? Maybe it was a code snippet, a tricky bug fix, or even a great prompt that led to an insightful response. Until now, sharing means copy-pasting the code into a message or trying to explain the whole chat manually. You may lose the context, formatting, sometimes even the meaning of your entire conversation. But here is a good news. GitHub has just introduced shared conversation in Copilot Chat. Now with just a click, you can generate shareable link from your Copilot Chat session and send it to your teammates. They can view the conversation, understand the context, and even continue the chat from where you left off. This feature is currently in public preview and is available specifically in the Copilot Chat Immersive view. That is the full screen experience inside the GitHub web interface or GitHub platform. So let us dive into a small demo. Imagine that you are working on Angular code and you have asked Copilot to teach you how to use reactive forms. Maybe as a subsequent, you may ask Copilot to get a view of what is the advantage of reactive form over other forms. So Angular as a technology support multiple different kind of forms. Reactive forms is one kind of forms that have some kind of advantages over the other one. So I'm going to implement this as part of my application. For understanding, I started to ask Copilot act as an Angular coach and help me understand how these Angular reactive forms are. Then I asked what's the difference with other forms, why the reactive forms are very important. So these details came here. Now my colleague is also going to work on this application and he may be implementing the reactive forms in a different screen altogether. For quickly sharing this conversation, you have this one share option on top right corner. Click on share and click again on share to generate the shareable URL. So copy this URL and pass to the colleague. So I have another login here where I'm going to ask Copilot to get render this one. This is a different user and he is able to get the complete chat conversation from where I started, the Angular reactive forms and the subsequent request for understanding the advantages. And for example, I am going to continue this conversation and we have the other chat in a side by side. Asking Copilot to suggest a reactive form sample for login screen. Copilot is coming with the suggestions. So there are 3 conversations in this particular or 3 interactions with the GitHub Copilot in this particular conversation which I shared with my colleague already. And the colleague is loaded 2 of them. If he just refresh it, he will be able to get the third one, the latest one, suggest a reactive form sample for login screen. But from here, this message after this will be a private conversation. If the colleague continue this conversation, then the sharing is disconnected and it moved as a private conversation. For example, the colleague need add a forgot password as part of the above login form. And he received the suggestions from Copilot that will not reflect on my screen. It's not a two-way communication. The recipients will get updates until he make it as a private conversation. Now this conversation is changed to private because the recipient is interacted with the Copilot and continued the conversation. If I continue the conversation by asking Copilot to get me the other form design options in Angular, Copilot is suggested the template driven forms in terms of declarative. The features are listed, and the reactive forms, hybrid approach, custom form controls, dynamic material bootstrap. This conversation will not reflect here. Let us refresh and observe that it stopped because from this point, this entire conversation is converted as a private conversation of the recipient. But using a single share click, I was able to share my entire conversation with my colleague. He can go ahead and understand the logic applied, the prompts used, the kind of debugging or kind of training I received from the Copilot. So we both are collaborating, understanding the same concepts suggested by Copilot. Also, sharing functionality provide managing shared conversations. I will be able to copy the existing sharing link as well as unshare the conversation. No longer I need to share this conversation, means I need to manage this shared conversations. Here I am using a private repository and asking Copilot for some information on this particular repository. It's provided the information. If I want to create a shareable link, this link is shareable and I am copying this to the other colleague's page, and it gives the error message because he is not having access to this conversation due to the permission issues. This conversation is based on my private repository. Sales dashboard is a private repository I have access to, but my colleague is not having access to. So Copilot chat sharing ensure the security of your chat conversation as well. If it is linked to a private repository, then it checks whether the recipient have enough access permissions for that repository, and then only it's display the conversation. If it is an open conversation without linking to any repository or resources, it can be shared with anyone else. But if it is linked to a repository or a private resource, then the access permission needs to be granted for the recipient to access the conversations. So sharing not only help in sharing your learnings, it can help in debugging some of the failed elements in terms of the actions failures, the compilation errors with your programs, or a PR review statement, or you found something useful, insightful, you can share that as well. A shared conversation feature helps eliminate communication silos, improves the onboarding, lets the team learn together from Copilot responses, whether it's debugging, documentation, or just sharing a cool prompts. This makes Copilot Chat more collaborative than ever. Give it a try if you are using Copilot Chat in Immersive view, and let me know in comments how you plan to use shared conversation in your teams.